Hello everyone, and welcome to this very special evening, this occasion. It's really a great honor and a privilege to be here with a dear friend, colleague, rival, Walter Browne. I'll make introductions and I'll moderate his lecture. I'd just like to start with, first of all, welcoming you all, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for being here and joining with us. And a special thanks to the World Chess Hall of Fame for their hosting. So first of all, a shout out to Shannon and Emily who are here. It's a wonderful, wonderful facility. And if I knew 40 years ago that I'd be here in this situation, I'd say, no, it's not happening. When I started playing chess in the 1970s, I was growing up in what we called Swiss tournaments. And in my life, I've had 3 players who have been my Angstmaker, the black opponent, you know, who would always crush me. My first was Peter Biasis, chess grandmaster from Canada. Peter is from Vancouver, BC, and he would come down to Seattle and beat us like a drum. It was really, really, really bad. Somehow, I don't know exactly how I cured my virus with Peter. Then came Walter. And Walter was the worst. Walter was terrible. In the 1970s, Walter literally became well known as the king of Swisses. And almost always, whenever we played in the tournament, we'd play against each other, I'd get white, and he'd kill me. It was that simple. And Walter, I think, started with some wonderful record of 6 wins and no draws against me. And somehow, it took a long while before I could, compete with him on even ground. Walter, besides the obvious of being a 6-time U.S. championship, was really a wonderful competitor, and that incredible energy of wanting to compete just extended not just in chess, but all kinds of other activities, whether it be tennis or bridge or backgammon, you name it. Walter, really, really, really tough competitor. Probably you forgot it, Walter, but I'll remind you, we were in Reykjavik in Iceland together, and at a certain moment I became a big fan of the game of snooker, that is, to watch it. I've only played 1 game of snooker in my life, and that was against this gentleman. And I want to say I took 2nd and you were next to last in the competition. And it was strange. I don't think you've ever played snooker before we played, but it was like this really wonderful...
I actually played a few times, just on rare occasions.
Okay, you got an edge already. Okay.
In
Canada, there you go. Obviously, we competed in a lot of U.S. championships together, and I remember prior to the competitions, preparing, looking at the opposition, and for years and years and years, the question was always, what are you going to do about Walter Browne? How are you going to play Walter Browne? Are you going to try to play him for a draw, and then try to sprint against the rest of the field? How are you going to do it? So Walter, you won 6 U.S. championships, but I suspect you could have won a lot more. And it was a great opportunity to compete with Walter. I'd also like to, you probably don't remember, but in 1980, I had played for the first time in what I would call a kind of breakthrough event for me. It was the Vicon Z tournaments. We were playing in what they call the Crown group, premier group, if you will. It was a world-class tournament featuring, amongst many other grandmasters, Victor Korchnoi, who at that time was the 2nd highest ranked player in the world, directly behind Anatoly Karpov. And it was the last round, and Walter needed to win to tie for first against me. And Walter was playing Victor Korchnoi. And we had hung out, being the Americans in the group together, and I said, well, to Walter, you know, tomorrow you've got a tough game against Victor. And Walter's immediate snapback response was, no, he's got a tough game against me. And I was like, this is the #2 guy in the world. Walter won the game, and we tied for first in Vaikanze in 1980. Later in the 80s, again, the U.S. Championships rivalries, but I remember very nicely my second Olympiad, it was 1982, Luzon, and you were first board for the team. Mm-hmm. And I remember, you know, playing next to Walter, thinking with myself, you know, I'm really glad Walter's on first board and I get the easier guy on board too. And we would play against all the great teams from Yugoslavia, Soviet Union, Western UK, and it was really, really nice. Walter was I was a bit surprised because, as we know, chess is a very individual sport, and you know we fight for our own success. But in a team event, you gotta really play for the team, and I was really greatly surprised that Walter was such a great team player as well, and that made a really powerful impression upon me. So, not just being a rival, but over so many years, that rivalry is turned to a friendship, and it's a great honor, a great pleasure to introduce you to 6-time U.S. champion Walter Browne.
Well, I should say that the games weren't much easier on board 2 than board 1, and they also had a great result, as I recall, the best result on the team in that event. But we're here today to talk mostly about the 60s and 70s, so without further delay, I'm going to jump into that. Now, I should start at the real beginning and talk about when I grew up and everything, but I'm going to jump ahead to like around 1959, when I was living out in Long Island, New York. All right, I was like a lot of the kids. I played baseball, football. I love to play bombardment, also known as, went by another name, dodgeball. I don't know if anybody played that game. Did anybody here play that game? All right, good. I was good at it. I liked the game, it was fun, I loved it. In fact, I was also on the chess team. I was board 1, no big deal, but I was on the chess team. So one of us to play chess. It was a fun game. We didn't study books, you know, we just played. I played at a friend's house, that was it, not too much. And we usually just 3 of us that played together chess. We played other teams a little bit. Okay, now, one day they had a tournament, and I told the guy, I don't want to play a chess tournament, I want to go play dodgeball. I mean, that's how my interest was when I was 10 years old. But I played a chess tournament, and you know what my prize was? $silver.
Silver $1.
$silver.
Oh, now we're talking.
Now, okay, I was a coin collector, so that meant a little bit more to me than the average person. Of course, that $silver was from like 100 years before, so it had a little more value than just $1. Maybe $10. Anyway, after that, I played on the team, not much happened, and then my whole life changed. I was having a great time, playing Little League, I loved baseball. I drove around my bike, it was a heavenly time for me, I was in heaven, really, playing all these sports and stuff. But anyway, my life changed. My parents, we had a house, really nice house next to a farm, and then suddenly they had to move. I don't know why, but we moved to Brooklyn. And for me, I don't know how many people here are familiar with Brooklyn, New York, but there's a huge difference between Brooklyn and Long Island. Okay, in Long Island, we went to school, the desks weren't marked up, there was not gum under the seats all over the place. people wanted to learn. They didn't make fun of the teacher behind their back and all kinds of negative things. So Brooklyn was just the opposite of Long Island. And it was very difficult to study and to learn in school at that time, at least for me. Luckily, I got into chef, and I got in, I studied a bit, I started to play poker games. I played up to 50 games at once for a short period. But after I realized, I can't afford it. How can I spend 50 times every 2 days I gotta spend on postage? Forget it. So anyway, that only took a few years, and I stopped doing that. It was fun. I had little books where you keep 6 games in each book. And, well, after that, I started to go to a Brooklyn public library, and they had once a week you meet, you play chess, and it was really nice. They had nice wooden sets. I remember, really professional, beautiful place, right near the Botanical Gardens. A majestic kind of place, as I recall. And from there, my father took me to some other place, and I played with these guys. There was just one small room, and they made a great compliment to me. They said, well, this kid, he looks like a bit like Sammy Reshevsky, the way he's concentrating on the game and everything. This is too short. Okay, so that was kind of, you know, egging me on. So from there, about a year later, I went to Manhattan Chess Club, which was the top chess club in New York City. And now I had the opportunity to meet some of the top players in the world. And I wasn't that good when I went there. But because I believed I was good, and I worked hard, I became better. And I ran into good players, I got to play with them. I studied. Once I was 13, I qualified for Brooklyn Tech. And I was basically studying chess every day. I'd go to the chess club almost every day. I was like totally absorbing chess from the age of 13. By 14, I became a master in chess. I won 50 years ago. I won the New York City Junior Championship, 1964. So this was a magical year. 50 years ago was an important year for me. And what else happened? So then I met Bobby Fischer in '53. The first time I saw him, they were having the Rosenwald Cup. And in those days, it was in a pretty good sized hall, maybe room for 200 or 300 people to watch. But it was kind of smoky, everybody was smoking, they used lamps, they didn't have overhead light, and they did have wallboards. So you could follow the games, and people be in the audience maybe whispering, talking about the moves, but somehow it wasn't too noisy. And then I got to see Bobby Fischer, Reshevsky, and all the top players, Robert Byrne, the Byrne brothers, both of them were playing.
Bill Lombardi?
Bill Lombardi was playing, yeah, and well, a few other famous players. But anyway, this particular event, 1963-64, was really important because this was the year that Bobby Fischer won all the games. Nobody had ever done that. 11-0, magic. So, and then he would go up to the chess club sometimes. And I think just prior to that, he had played people odds games. And he played different people and a few games. And one particular night, he played with Asa Hoffman. Asa Hoffman was a local hustler, and he didn't like to give money away, so I was suspicious. Because Bobby didn't want to lose, and Asa doesn't like to lose, so what's going on? And then I saw these people watching the game, huddled around, but naturally they didn't want to watch Bobby anyway, but they were betting on the game. So now, Bobby unmercifully destroyed Asa, like 18 games in a row or something. Unbelievable, just beat him every game. I don't know how many games. And then all of a sudden I'm away from, I can't even get in to watch, the crowd is so thick. But suddenly I hear a roar, incredible roar, elation from everybody watching, they're in heaven. I said, how else could they be in heaven? Oh, they're betting against Bobby. Aha, so now Bobby loses the game to Asa. It was a King's Gambit, by the way. I believe you can find this game. Asa has a book out, by the way. I think the publisher, right?
Publisher.
They used to have some very nice games, by the way. He was about 2,400 player at his best, and very talented. Anyway, so Bobby starts preaching in every pocket. His pants, his jacket, this, and that, he's doing like this, and this. Everybody's trying to money. So you got to pay out $20. $20 was a lot of money in those days. So another time, Bobby, when I was just starting, he gave me a few odds. Oh, 5 minutes left. I said, thank you, Bobby. I won one game, and after I won one game, he quit me.
Yeah.
He said, no,
No,
didn't do that. So now, then he said, makes me this unusual offer. He's going to give me 2 extra points. What do you mean 2 extra points? Well, this is what we do. We start with normal setup in chess, but I did 2 extra pawns, like on not the third rank, on rook 3 and knight 3. So the third rank, okay, I get extra pawn. So I thought, well, let's try it. We play a few games and Bobby, no problem. He gets to a certain sector of the board, just attack a few pieces and he breaks through. And he beat me a couple of games. So I quit him. I said, look, that's too tough. Another time, I go to the club and Bobby says to me, there's some guy there, he's just somebody from out of town. He wants to play him, but he doesn't know what odds he can give him. So I was all upset from the game he beat me, so I said, I ain't give him a swing. Swing odds, full swing. I know how I do. I felt guilty at the same time, but I was upset, so I said, anyway, so I give the guy swing odds, and he beat the guy. How often do you just give somebody swing and beat him? I mean, this is a miracle, really. I felt, I was embarrassed, but it worked out, so. So that was funny.
Did you get, how old was how much older was Bobby?
He was about 6 years older than me.
6 years older.
Yeah, and we both went to the same high school, by the way. We were at the high school, but not at the same time.
Clear.
Barbara Streisand also went there.
Right. So did you, in those days that you were both New Yorkers, if you will, did you hang out much with them, or did you play? I mean,
Well,
obviously you played from time to
yeah,
time.
sometimes we
Bobby always got this reputation as a loner.
He was, definitely. And usually he would stay up to 3, 4 in the morning. He goes to a lot of bookstores, spends a lot of time in those bookstores, going over the checkbooks. And then sleep to about noon.
Do you think he kind of kept you at bay because he saw you as a potential rival?
No, I don't
Or
think
is
he
it
felt
that was-
threatened by me at all. Not in 64, 65, not at all.
Mhm.
He knew he was much, much better than me, and he gave me a few pointers. Like in the Benoni, I remember specifically, he told me, he said, the reason our black plays rook b8, okay, you threaten b5, if so when white plays a4, that knight in a6 can happen to b4.
Mm-hmm.
Lure the pawn to a4 so it can happen to b4. So that's one thing I definitely remember.
Right.
That he showed me. And pointed out a few other things. I don't remember all of them.
By the way, just in those days, grandmasters are very reluctant to share their secrets. So this was a kind of, if somebody takes you under the wing and says, okay, I got to show you something, I was like, you kind of felt like you were being, uplifted, treated.
That's right. Remember Robert Burns said the only lesson he got was School of Hard Knocks. So that's the way it was in those days. Yeah, they don't help you.
Nobody.
It's like I had an adjourned game in '69 against Spassky. I wanted to get some help from Arthur Bishop or Robert Burns. They didn't want to help me. And anyway, I would have won the game probably, but that's another story. So, yeah, getting back to the early '60s, at least for me, I started playing Swisher from '63. And I got pretty good. I was like the 2300 player, but I was distracted by other games. And I got pretty good, and I really improved when I went out to California in '67. I got a motorcycle, and I went to tournaments, and I started winning most of those tournaments. I got to high 2400s. So I made a big leap in the late '60s. But I'm trying to think. I have a few other stories. Sorry, I have to check my notes.
While he's checking his notes.
I did.
While he was checking his notes, I remember this one story that was really a good one. I liked it very much. We had played in Lone Pine, California together. And Lone Pine, California is like the foot of Mount Whitney, but it's not the most accessible place in the world. I needed to get back up to Seattle, but Raquel and Walter were, of course, in those days living in Berkeley. So essentially, I hitched a ride with Walter, and we drove.
Really? What year
you
was
had
that?
the BMW, remember?
Yeah,
You had
but
the
what year would that have
BMW?
been?
79,
79 is possible.
something like that.
Or 77?
Yeah, it could have been something like that. And the idea was that we drove in, I think it was Reno that we actually stopped in. And you wanted to jump into the casino and win a little bit of blackjack. You were playing like perfect basic at the time. And yeah, I mean, it was gas money for to get us into Frisco. That was really a good, I remember that was nice.
Yeah, I never played blackjack very much. I did have the book. There was a Revere Point Town book, and at that time, you should win the game because they dealt a lot of cards. They played only 1 or 2 dead games.
Right.
It was possible.
Exactly, exactly.
But Larry Evans was the one who did really well playing
Yeah.
blackjack. In fact, he got barred from several casinos. And part of the reason he moved up to Reno was where he could also play some blackjack, and it's a nice town.
Right, exactly. Yeah, sure. Also, Walter was talking about early, when he was really, really young, he was playing correspondence chess. This is postal chess, we would call it. And this is like incredible games. I never got into postal chess, and I could never understand how people could do it. Literally, you would get a postcard, and you would write your move, and you'd send it to the guy, and he's got like 2 weeks to respond. And it's not unusual at all that a game of chess, a single game of chess, might last several years. Okay? You say you had 50 games concurrently?
Yeah.
This is like really amazing. And I recall reading the books of Paul Keres. And Paul Keres, a legendary Grandmaster from Estonia, he started his career playing postal chess.
Yeah, I
because
heard that.
It really helped his analytical vision. I mean, he really worked on his analysis. But I mean, my God, one game of chess lasting years and years?
I think it's kind of like the Germans in chess, when you have to work very hard on your Germans. We used to have, after we played 5 hours, 40 moves, you can either have your dinner, come back and play, or you can analyze it and give up your dinner. And most of us gave up, at least I did, I gave up my dinner to win that game, or draw that game, whatever it was. Anyway, coming back to Bobby.
Yeah.
Another thing, in 1967 we met in Central Park. A friend of ours, the famous Jim Buff, introduced us. At that point, they were playing baseball. I remember, so we only played a little baseball, and then we drifted over to 9th Avenue around Soviet Street. And he was talking about music, his interest in music somewhat, and we stopped at a really nice deli and we ate there. And then afterwards, we walked downtown like 8 or 9 miles, unbelievable. And he was very generous. He bought me some fresh squeezed orange juice, I remember. And we kept walking. We went to a chess store, and then he'd go in, and he'd just grab a chessboard and he'd start looking at it, thumbing through like that. And then he'd be making, somebody says, oh, what's that? And he'd be talking about the analysis. He'd zip through things so fast, it's unbelievable. And they used to have a little thing, I don't know if anybody remembers, it had like number 1 through 15, they have to put them in order.
Yeah,
and
that's that shuffle game that you saw on that.
And Bobby was really good. In fact, I think he went on the Dick Cavett show.
Yeah,
and did that.
They got the clip right here.
Yeah.
Johnny Carson.
Oh, Johnny.
Johnny was really pleased that he got the wand in the right spot. I mean, Bobby did it like in
Presto, magic.
20 seconds or something ridiculous. Yeah.
Amazing talent for that.
Yeah.
So anyway, we were in the chess shop, and like I say, spent a lot of time with a few books. Maybe we were only an hour and a half there. then we went for dinner, we went to like the Mediterranean restaurant, and then he told me about this tournament he was going to, the Interzonal in Tunisia, and about his upcoming opponents, and we talked a little bit. Basically, he was kind of lecturing to me. I was dating the words here and there. He was mostly doing most of the talking. And so that was enlightening. And then after we finished, I think that'd be enough. No, we walked again about 5-6 miles up the east side of Manhattan. Sure, all the way up to 50th Street. So the guy, this is normal for him. He would walk for 10, 15, 20 miles in a day. And I think that really helped him. He was in really good physical shape. And he was a very good swimmer as well. And one time before his Spassky match, I went up there to visit him in his training tamping roasting juice. And I played him table tennis, we competed in swimming, and won 2 other games. I can't remember, some other sport. Running maybe. And then we would study Spassky's games. Basically, he had them all down already in his mind. He would go over, he would kind of just showing me what the point was. He'd do this and do this and do that. And it's like once in a while he asked me my opinion. He's basically, he's kind of double checking that what he believes is right. To see if I find any holes in it. That kind of deal. So,
Let me just as a brief background, there is this wonderful story about Bobby Fischer in those times, which has been confirmed by several other sources, but I want Walter to confirm it if he possibly could. In those days, the 60s, 70s, the Germans, there was German publishers that would publish complete editions of a player's game collection. So they had what they called these red books, and there was a red book of Boris Spassky's games. And the story was that prior to his match in 1972, Bobby would walk around with that red book, and he would literally memorize all the games in the book. And he wanted to walk up to Michael and say, "Hey, Michael, here's the book." And he would challenge you, open up the book, pick a game, just at random, and then Bobby would walk you through literally 60 moves of what the guy
How
did.
many games? About 400 games in the book?
How many? Do you remember?
I know he had that book. I don't know if it was green book or red book, but I'm pretty sure it's the same book, of all books again.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think he had it down really well. He didn't give me the option picture chart or picture page deal, but I believe that he really knew the material very well in
There
that
were
book.
350 games in the book. It's on display out in the gallery, and it's estimated there are 14,000 moves.
Wow. Okay. So anyway, so you were like Bobby would actually deign to ask your opinion when
No,
maybe
no.
he wasn't so sure.
Not enough to make me feel like I really knew what I was doing, but just enough to
It was a
keep
compliment.
me interested a little bit.
Exactly. Now, one quick question for you, because we've seen some interviews with Bobby where before his match with Spassky, he was absolutely sure that he was going to win. It's like, I'm the best player, and I'm going to win this match. Can you confirm that as well? That he was really that super confident, which I thought was remarkable.
I think in one way he was, in another way he wasn't completely confident, and that's why he hesitated before he went there. I know he made a demand for more money, and they got it, and that was great. But even then, remember, he didn't want to get on the plane and do it.
Yeah.
Because I recall my mother telling me that he told, maybe he was probably trying to get a hold of me, but I wasn't there at my house, and my mother was on the line, and she said she gave him a bit of a pep talk because she felt he wasn't quite motivated or sure of himself in some way. And so she said she gave him a pep talk. Maybe it helped, I don't know. Something that happened. Now another thing, we played in the same tournament once in 1970, and we actually played a tournament game.
Was this Yugoslavia?
With Bobby. Yeah.
Yugoslavia.
Yeah, Roving Zagreb. They told Roving Zagreb because half the tournament was played in an island, and this island was near the town of Roving, And it was a small island, just big enough for the players in the tournament to play, and have a little residence where they could stay. And it was this huge hall, great lighting, tremendous amount of space, and I thought it was superb condition. But Bobby was still oscillating, you know, should I play, should I not? And then they were paying him, offering him a fee of like $3,000. Now you might say, oh, $3,000, that's not so much. Okay, for that time it was an incredible amount. Number two, the Russians didn't get any fee. Nobody else got any fee. So it's like incredible difference right there. So he was still hemming and hawing. I mean, he had a team outside, he had a powwow with the visitors, and he asked my opinion. I urged him, I told him, I think it's right, he should play. So, but anyway, he didn't decide very easily on things. He needed people to, you know, spur him on.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, just to supplement what Walter was talking about, I think it was 1969, the World Championship match between Boris Spassky and Tigran Petrosyan, where I believe the entire prize fund for the match was 6,000 Russian rubles. Okay, 6,000 Russian rubles. This is 1969. This is
That's
the match.
official rate, by the way.
Yeah, which was
Was that
like
the black
1 to
market
1. Yeah, that
So
wasn't the
that's the
black
official
market
rate.
rate. So if you were to use the official rate, you're talking at $6,000. So when Bobby in 1972 jumps to $250,000 or whatever it was that he played with Spassky, it's like a humongous leap. And when Walter's telling me about the Yugoslavia event where Bobby is getting a $3,000 fee, well, compare that to the World Championship 24-game match, unheard of, just as he was saying. So a little context.
That's a little less than I heard. I heard 8,000 somehow in '69 or slightly before they were getting.
For
I don't know if it was the whole prize pool or the first prize, but probably it was the whole pool,
yeah,
something like that.
yeah.
So I wanted to talk about Roby Zagreb. So he played in the tournament, he got off to a great start, 6.5 out of 7. Finally, he lost the game, but he was still out in front. And for my part, I wasn't doing that well. I was just one of my first tournaments. I had just become a Grandmaster. 5 months before or something. So for me it was an education. I was just so happy, blessed to be in a place where I could experience and play with the top players in the world. And joy to watch Bobby at work because he put so much time, time in preparation, but energy at the board. And he played very swiftly, by the way. He almost never had any time pressure. That's why he could afford to come late for a game, 3 to 8 minutes late. He would do sometimes. And he just kept going along the tournament, and we went out to dinner a few times. He was so engrossed in conversation at one time that while we were eating, he actually poked himself in the face with a fork. I swear, it's true. But that shows you the level of intensity of thought that he would go through. His mind was always working overtime. It's amazing.
I got to interrupt because this is one of like the most classic situations. I published a magazine for 12 years called Inside Chess Magazine. And one of the first people that was interviewed for that magazine was Walter Browne. And Walter just kind of let that slip right by, and it was so fast, you take it for granted these days, that he became a Grandmaster. Well, today, there's many, many, many Grandmasters. But in those days, to get the Grandmaster title was virtually impossible. It really, really was hard. And one of the questions that Walter was asked in the interview was about the Grandmaster title. Walter like erupted, and he said, you know, it's terrible. When I got the Grandmaster title, was it 72?
69.
16. When I got the Grandmaster title, there was me and one other guy, a Soviet, and nobody was really sure about him, whether he deserved it or not. and his name was Karpov.
I think you deserve it.
Yeah, you think you deserve it.
Yeah.
But at the time, you weren't 100% sure. So to get those Grandmaster titles were really, really hard. Sorry, Walter.
Yeah, oh no, thanks for jumping in. No, he earned it. Well, here's the next thing. In early '72, in January, I was playing the VTD tournament. And
Oh, hold on. Oh, whoa, 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 whoa,
we
whoa,
jumped
whoa,
ahead
whoa,
to
whoa,
it.
whoa, whoa. Back in the Yugoslav tournament, Bobby and Walter are playing. So obviously in a round robin, you're going to play one another. So
oh,
there.
I'm sorry, you're right, I forgot to finish that story. So, yeah. So Bobby, we go out to dinner a lot of times and suddenly we had to meet, so we're not so friendly now. And, you know, he's losing the tournament by 2 points. It's about 4 rounds for me, and now we're playing in Zagreb, by the way, the second half of the tournament. Okay? And a big hall.
What you playing?
In Zagreb.
In Zagreb. Okay, so you moved from.
Yeah, we moved. It was,
Okay,
it was one of those tournaments where half is in roving, beautiful island, and then you move. And we played in Zagreb, and it was a wonderful hall. It fit like 3,000 people, or 5,000. It was huge. Chandeliers, big wall boards, everything. Like in Russia, probably somewhere. So we were playing. We had a very intense game. Nobody he tried to trust me, basically. I made a mistake. I was only equal, and then it looked like he was going into his hill around move 19, but he made an inaccuracy, and the whole game turned around. It's like, it's like if you go after something, you know, how somebody's going to destroy somebody, you see it in the movies all the time, and suddenly they say, whoa, and they have to back up. And the whole position unwound, the center disintegrated, and I won a pawn, I won an exchange, but I wasn't quite winning, but I adjourned after 40-odd moves with superior position. This game went on for like 4 days. We adjourned 3 or 4 times. It took 98 moves. I got to position before I played him, the final session. I had played Petrosian the day before, and with Petrosian, I wanted to beat Petrosian. And I got to around 35th move, and he offered me a draw, but he didn't say it in English. He said, Remy? I said, Remy? What's that? And then he said, Nixie? I said, no. And then he said, go up. Like, you don't hear me? I'm world champion. I'm offering you a draw. I said, no, I don't want to play. So I played, and anyway, I made a mistake and I lost the game, and I was a bit upset, but you know, if you don't try to win, you'll never know how good you are. I think too many people tap out in anything, but in chess, especially important. So, anyway, I lost the game. So now I play Bobby the next day, and it's on my mind. I want to do something special. I messed up this other game. At least, let me win brilliantly. So I did this end game, and I said, well, I can make this simple move, and I know this will win. But let me try something special. I want to win with a special move. I try to make the special move, and Bobby finds me in genius defense and draws it in. So
This is a famous example where, as Walter says, he's got an easy technical win, but the artist inside of him, he wanted to win brilliantly. So he found this fantastic variation, and if Bobby had followed script, it would have indeed probably been the game of the year. But instead, Bobby found this one small little flaw, and he escaped.
that's it. That's about it.
Yeah.
But that's history. I've had about 1,000 sleepless nights because of it. You know, you know. But anyway, it was an adventure. It was exciting. It was a great experience, and I learned a lot. And so I take it all as a positive experience in my life, at least. And unfortunately, it was the only tournament I got to play with Bobby. I never got to play with him in the U.S. Championships. After he won the World Championship, as we all know, he didn't play again until he played Spassky in '92 again. So.
Was it shocking for you, knowing what you knew about Bobby and his love for the game and his desire to win, and in championships. Were you shocked, like me, that he stopped playing? Like that he could just walk away from the game after giving it all he had?
Yeah, because I mean, he was so much better than anybody else. He had done so much work. He knew the end game much better than anybody else. He worked very, very hard. He knew other people's openings better than they knew him. He did. He actually studied other people's openings, even though he didn't play the opening. So he just knew so much. He had done so much work. I mean, he was a professional. He was such an artist. Why would he stop playing? I understand to hold out and bargain and negotiate, get the best field you can, but don't mess it all up. And, well, I mean, he took a bit of a gamble, but what he did not appreciate was that the Russians had too much political control in FIDE, and they could control what happens in the World Championship. And that was the problem. Even though they didn't agree on some differences, he forfeited the match. You'll note that a few years later, Karpov had a better deal than Fischer had asked for. It was something with a 6-6 tie. If it's 5-5, they keep the title.
Right.
Isn't that correct? Yeah. Although there'd be a rematch.
Let me just explain what we're talking about here. So in 1972, Bobby Fischer wins the World Championship. Wonderful. 1975, he's obligated to defend his title against the challenger being Anatoly Karpov. Bobby hasn't played for several years, and Bobby says, look, I think the 24-game match system is unfair for the challenger. Essentially, the champion, all he's got to do is score 12 out of 24, and he keeps the championship. What I propose is the way Steinitz did it, which was the first guy to win 10 games. Draws don't count. But the challenger has to show superiority, so in case of a 9-9 tie, the game's tied and they're declared vice champions or whatever. And the Russians, the Soviets, as Walter was saying, in the world body, the World Chess Federation, they had the power, they had the votes. They voted Bobby's proposal down, and Bobby forfeited his title to Karpov in 1975. The FIDE changes the rules, and Karpov now is the world champion. He gets a rematch. You beat Anatoly Karpov, you get a rematch. He gets the rematch. So Bobby was asking that in case of a 9-9 tie, the match is stopped, the money split evenly. In the case of Anatoly Karpov in the new rules, he could lose in what was called a 6-win must system. So if Karpov loses the first match, 6-0, wins the rematch, 6-5, the overall score could have been that Karpov wins 6 points, his opponent wins 11, and Karpov's the world champion. So it's a big mathematical advantage for Karpov versus what Fischer had asked, because of the Soviet control of the FIDE.
Exactly, but I think Bobby didn't consider all the elements. Chess is a great game, but you can't just think on chess level. You have to think on multi-levels involved here, right?
With the
politics, the
politics,
yeah. I mean, he didn't realize that he can't break through that. He's got to live with it and work with it somehow.
While you're looking into this, I'd just like to tell one other nice story about Walter. Walter, of course, is, I mean, he's talking about, he talked earlier about his hustling days in Manhattan, and, you know, I like the idea of Bobby giving you a piece odds, man. You grabbed that piece, I was very happy. Walter's not the hustler, he's really a great blitz player. He always liked playing blitz very much, as did I. We were in Lone Pine together, and Lone Pine had a really strange schedule. Basically, it was a 9-round Swiss tournament. So you might think a playing schedule would be something like 3 games, a free day, 3 games, a free day, and 3 games to finish. No. The playing schedule is something like you play 4 games, you get 2 free days in a row, then you play your final 5 games. Why did they have that schedule? That was to accommodate Sammy Reshevsky and his Sabbath.
I would guess,
Yeah. So he'd get the 2 free days like this. So he'd screw up everybody's schedule. So there we were in Lone Pine with nothing to do for 2 days. And there was the community center where we played. And during one of the free days, we were all playing Blitz. And Miguel Neidorf is holding court. Miguel Neidorf is playing one junior after the next, and every time he beat one of the U.S. juniors, he would chortle very loudly, "Blood! I need more blood! You guys are too old for me. I need young blood!" You know. So I was getting pushed closer to Neidorf. During the tournament, Tigran Petrosian, I noticed that Tigran was watching my games. This is right, Tigran Petrosian, the world champion. So finally I get my turn and I'm facing Neidorf, and Tigran Petrosian taps Miguel on his shoulder and they speak in Russian, and Miguel jumps out of his seat and Tigran sits down. So wow. So I'm thinking that Tigran wants the set to analyze whatever. I start to get up. He waves me to sit down. He wants to play with me Blitz. Well, I had established a bit of a reputation, and people come flooding into the room. And as we're getting all the pieces set up and everything, there's Walter, and he's shouting, "Okay, everybody, 3-1, Petrosian's favorite, 3-1. Come on, who wants to bet? Who wants to bet?" Right? Well, I was possessed. I don't know what happened to this day. I played the Blitz game of my life, and I won. Silence. The room was completely silent. Till this booming voice came up. "Okay, 50-50, who wants to bet?" As Walter, getting some action going. Same story. I won the second game. Silence. Walter shouts, "Okay, 3-1 for Seirawan. Come on, I need some action over here." He won the next 2 games and stopped. Remember that was really
So I
good.
lost every battle.
Yeah, losing every bet. Sorry, Walter.
Well, that was a great story.
3-1.
I hope I didn't go broke. Well, in 1972, I was playing the Racing D tournament, which I played 6 times, by the way. And I won twice. Once with Yasser, we tied for first, so it's a great memory for both of us. Anyway, at this particular tournament, I played the Soviet champion. He had just won the Soviet championship with a big score, and I don't know, maybe perfect score. I don't know, maybe he lost 1 game. Anyway, I was playing with black. I played a dynamic opening.
Sorry, who was the champion?
Savon. I don't
Yeah,
know his
yeah,
first
Savon.
name. I don't recall his first name. Savon was the last name. And he was a tricky player. He was a very creative player. Played unusual openings. And anyway, he was white. It was no second, third round, something like that. And anyway, so he played this unusual opening. It's a symmetrical line where you both feed shadow, and you play C6, C4, D4, D5. You trade, and white plays knight E5.
Right.
And I played knight C6, and I don't say that. It's supposed to be slightly better for white, but it's very dynamic. I got my bishop on F5. And anyway, I won the game in 21 moves, and I sacked my queen at the end, and it was a tactical kind of finish. So anyway, I got to see Bobby on the free day, it must have been the 3rd or 4th day, and
sorry, what date, what year was
oh, it was
that?
in January 72, sorry.
So January 72, so that's, wow, okay, so this is the height of Bobby's great
Oh yeah,
push.
Bobby, he's won all his preparatory matches. He destroyed Petrosian a few months earlier, in Argentina, right?
Right.
With 4 wins in a row at the end, by the way, as I mentioned. And now he's just preparing. He's doing a little publicity before the match. So anyway, I go in there to his hotel room in a central area, right to point, and I see wires and floodlights and everything, cameras here, cameras there, and I'm trying to get through all this morass of life. And I see Bobby showing off a game to BBC or Dutch TV, I'm not sure which, maybe both. And lo and behold, he's doing over a game I beat Devon the day before, so that was really a shock. And so
Wow.
it was a surprise to me.
So the game you played with Savon, it was played in Wijk-aan-Zee.
Yeah, I mean, he's in Amsterdam, so I
Yeah.
mentioned that. Well, so it's a half an hour away.
Well, the reason I mentioned that, obviously we're spoiled today. It's truly, you can't understand it unless you lived it, and it was really torturous. I mean, today we got the internet. You can watch Magnus Carlsen, Viswanathan Anand play live moves. It's incredible. In those days, it was just hard to get the Soviet bulletins. You were just dreaming about the Soviet championships and getting solid gold. Walter, in fact, did the U.S. chess scene a great service by having literally the bulletin service. You would have your informants or helpers in various locations in the world, and they would send you the original games, and it was just really, really tough. So this concept that a day after you played a game with Savon, that Bobby would know it, is like jolts me. Except, of course, he was in Amsterdam. The game was probably published in the local newspaper.
Yeah, but knowing Bobby, even if he's in Antarctica, he'd have a name.
Yeah.
You know, Bobby got all the stuff, remember, books, whatever, manuscripts, tournament games, whether he was playing or not.
Did he? I
Oh
didn't
yeah,
know that.
oh sure,
Okay, it was-
no doubt about it.
He had his finger on the pulse of the action. Huh?
Yeah, and one thing I failed to mention, when I beat Savon in a game, what we played, and you know, the Soviets had tremendous control, they never got out of line. I mean, emotionally, they never even let you know if they didn't like the position. They just Karpov. Even when Karpov was losing a game, I remember, in Italy, he would walk around smiling between moves. So he would never let his opponent know that he was in trouble, ever. And the Russians would never show much emotion. But after this game, I beat Devon. He banged the table real hard. So he lost his school, and that was the only time somebody did that against me, the whole of my life.
Right.
So it was really, but you understand that he wasn't just upset because he lost the game. Why was he upset? Because if he didn't do well in this tournament, he wouldn't get invited, he wouldn't be allowed out of the Soviet Union to play anywhere else. And that's why they had to keep performing well. And with that pressure, usually the Soviet players do well. But there were exceptions.
A quick one for you here. I know you got 3 could go on all night, really, and I wanted to give the audience also a chance to ask you some quick questions. But before I do that, I'll kind of preempt them a bit. I know you played with Anatoly, Boris Spassky, one game with Bobby Fischer, Petrosian.
Oh yeah,
You played Petrosian.
tough guy.
Tough guy.
It was one of my toughest opponents. I lost him like 3 times. He never, I mean, he was a hard player. I mean, to draw with him, I made some draws with him, but I could never beat him.
Did you play with Smyslov?
Smyslov, I had a very good score with him. I beat him. Once I beat him. Yeah, I had a good score with him. I think I was -1. I was 8, 9.
Probably Botvinnik retired.
I never got to play.
Yeah, you never got a chance.
I played
So-
Tal many times.
Smyslov, Tal.
Tal had a plus score. I beat
Yeah,
him once and a bunch of draws. I never lost.
Well, fantastic. So Tal, Petrosian,
Draws in -3 or something.
Spassky.
4 draws. And 2 of them I should have won. Well, not sure. One of them I should have won for sure. And another one, he was like, it was like the prize fight where you keep hitting the guy about 9 punches and it somehow stays up. Something like that. Yeah, I had a chance.
Bobby Wondra, Karpov.
15 games, maybe 11 draws. I lost 4. He was tough.
'Cause
I only missed a win in 1 game. Yeah, one day, but I had 1 minute on the clock. I seen the move, I tried to analyze it. He took me over an hour to think about what to do. I'd never seen a guy think so much, but he was so ahead of the time he could do it. Finally, after all this time, I know I have this winning move if he does that. But I tried out this, and this, and this, and this. And when he made his move, I got jolted and I reacted physically and just moved something and I missed the win and I lost the game. but I seen the win, but just couldn't do it, play it on the board.
Yeah. Kasparov?
Once, a lot.
There's a lot of world champions in that. That was really, really, really good. Walter, sorry, I just needed to give you, really, first of all, great, thank you to the audience as well. But I know you got tons of stories, but let me throw it at the audience and just allow 3 questions and we'll wrap it up.
Yeah, well, we still have a...
I know you got a lot, but I mean, we're already at 8. And
well, I thought we did an hour and a half, but hour was like, that was just the best version.
that was the best.
This is the full court version.
Okay, well, just let me offer the audience an opportunity.
Yeah, why don't you question? Fine, that's why
throw
we
it
all
out
do
there.
that.
I know you've got something to ask.
Okay, who is your favorite American chess personality, and who is your least favorite? And then also on the foreign side, favorite and least favorite.
I mean, obviously Fischer was my hero. I mean, I played all the same openings he did. I don't know if you guys know what I played, but I played the Knight of all the time. I played the King's Indian early in my career, and
E4.
E4 was white. I did play up to 1976, and I recently started playing again. So Fischer was kind of like my hero, and Carl also, in terms of his style, loves his combinational sacrifice and aggressive play. And worldwide, for personality, not only as human beings and nice people and just great people to be around, but people who are great fighters in chess. I would say Michael Tal, who I did never say a bad thing about. He would be like in a tournament, he'd sit down there with a table on a chess set, and anybody would come up to him and he would analyze with them. I mean, he was very humble in that way, you know, and very pleasant. And I played in Blitz matches at many occasions on tournaments all over the world. So he was a joy to be around to play with in the same tournament. And I was very, very lucky to have a plus draw with Michael Tal. Ben Larson was another guy. He'd loan me a book in my first GM tournament. I might not have made the title without the book that he gave me. I had no book. I literally had to jump on the plane to get down there. I got this call at the last moment. I got there the second day at the tournament. It was a total miracle. And other day, we talking about 2 personalities from around the world. There's 2 of them. And there's other people I really liked in Europe. Ulf Anderson was another guy. Ulf had a wonderful personality.
And I should have said least favorite.
Yeah, I mean, there's so
maybe
many.
they're just centric, and you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think Yasser would be my second choice, a wonderful personality. Definitely.
Okay, I owe you $10. But was there any particular guy that was just kind of an unpleasant opponent that you just said, why do I have to tolerate or suffer this guy? It just
Oh, you mean
stylistically?
stylistically?
Yeah, well, like a guy you just he rankled you, I guess.
I've had a little more, to be honest, I've had a little more problems lately with some of the kids I played.
All the
I mean,
juniors.
they kind of break the rules, you know, they're eating at the board all the time. That kind of unnerves me. I think there should be a rule in chess that you shouldn't be allowed to eat the board during the game, or if you do, have a side table. But that's not it. As far as my early career, well, I didn't like the people would do things. I had a problem with Nakamura when I played him one time. Every move, he wouldn't put it on a square, you know, so I had to adjust every move, his pieces. That happened in 2002, just one game. Only one game he played. The other games he was fine. It was just that one particular game.
He's mature and growing.
Yeah, maybe he was younger, he wanted to have the edge on me one minute. No, I don't know. It wasn't a different one.
I remember one game that we played, Walter. I made a faux pas. I castled short, and I touched my rook. I brought it to F1. I took my king, and in some kind of very artistic way, I tucked the king around the rook. Pressed my clock. You were looking to move. 30 seconds kind of go by, 40, and maybe you didn't, and you finally came out and said it. You said, you know, when you're castling, you move your king first. And it was a very, very, very good correction. Because later, when I would go up against Soviet players, you know, you didn't want to give them even an opportunity to say, hey, wait a minute, you can move your rook. You were a good guy. You let my castles
You know
move
something,
safe.
there were games in chess where somebody had to touch the rook and they had to move it to rook to D1, D8. It actually happened in some games. I heard, but I don't recall such a game.
Right. Yes.
What's
sir.
your take on the current world match?
The World Championship match.
Well, actually, to be honest, I haven't seen, I'm looking forward to looking over the games. I was busy playing myself this weekend.
Yeah.
I missed the 2 games.
First of all, we've got 3. The first game was a draw. Game 2, Magnus won. Game 3, Vichy won.
Oh,
The
it
match
did?
stands even at 1.5 half. 1.5, 1.5.
But I think it's good that they've had 2 decisive results, and not like some of these matches they saw with 8 draws or something. Even the tax of a non-match in '95, so with 8 and 9 draws.
Right.
So I definitely think that's an improvement.
Do I think?
Well, how about I just wrap this up with a
Okay,
short
sure.
finish? All right?
Okay, okay.
So,
By the way, just to buttress what Walter was saying about Michael Tull, I think that I played with and met Michael Tull numerous times myself, and really was certainly one of the most beloved, if not the most beloved figure in chess. And yeah, I mean, we were completely on the same boat there. What you got?
yeah, okay, well, it is like that.
Right.
So people are curious to know, did I ever see Bobby again after '72? Now he played this World Championship match and everything. I didn't see him. He came to the San Antonio tournament on there. He was only a spectator for like 1 day. No big deal. But 9 years later, he told me out of the blue, our mutual friend, he said, you know, Bobby's a bit miffed with you. Something you said in the Sports Illustrated article. So I didn't know exactly what I said, but I guess I said something bad. But he said, well, Bobby's wanting to see you again.
So is it like 82, 83?
But I told him in '81, right after the U.S. Championship, I won, tied with Yasser once again, who else?
Yeah.
So we tied for first, and then I went down to Chile. I couldn't even stay for the Soldier tournament. I go down to Chile. I won that tournament, night tournament. And then I came back a month later. There's Bobby, shows up at my house, and he goes over the games with me. That was a fantastic thing. And I learned a bit. And then we also played a pool game, and I broke the balls, 8 ball. Bobby never stopped. I was pretty good in those days. I was practicing with my son. He was a very good pool player, better than me. And we played a lot of 9-ball and 8-ball matches. And so Bobby wasn't upset by that.
That he never got a chance to even shoot.
Yeah, but he wasn't upset. I don't know if we played a second game or not. But he shouldn't, one game, big deal.
So why did he call you out of the blue? That was, obviously it was a shocking surprise, but
It was a bit of a surprise.
he was, just happened to be in Berkeley at the time?
Yes.
Yeah, well, he didn't have
An
a
article
picture.
by a very famous sports writer was the feature in the Sports Illustrated in January 12, 1976, featuring the Pittsburgh Steelers and Walter Browne. There was a long comparison introducing the two as Erasmus High's special students. So there's a huge parallel between Bobby and Walter. Throw and I get to read the article, you understand, how they both were very similar in some ways, and that was the author's approach. And so much of Bobby appears in the article.
That's right, the first part.
And therefore Bobby reading it avidly about his background, his childhood, it moved him. So,
Maybe he didn't like some of that comparison, but of course the guy embellished a lot of the article, and he made it very entertaining. He was a great writer. And, well, after that, Bobby came to my house 3 times. The last time he came, we had a wonderful meal, and the problem, and he said, I invited him to stay overnight. Might have been a mistake. So the next day, he gets on the phone for 6 hours. He's on the phone. And, I I got a budget for phone calls, but he's going overseas, and, you know, he's going here and there. And those days, okay, phone calls to cost
Very
a fortune.
expensive, $3 an hour.
Yeah, they're not like 2 cents a minute or 20 cents a minute anymore. But that was when they were like $5 a minute. It was really high. So anyway, I said to Bobby, there's a limit, my friend. All right, at that point, he just got upset, left, never spoke to me again. Never spoke to me again. That's that. And I kind of wanted, why don't you tell us about '92? You went to visit him in
Yeah,
Nigeria.
well, we were never in a situation where you described that we were on either account. I mean, in fact, in '92, the match, or the rematch, if you will, was played in Sveti Stefan in Montenegro on the Adriatic coast. It's simply absolutely gorgeous place. And the second half of the match was played in Belgrade. And I got a chance to meet Bobby and speak with him, rap with him. And we had just a tremendous time together.
Wasn't it dangerous for you over there at that time?
In
Was
fact,
the war going on?
there was civil war going on, but that was really happening up north in Slovenia as well as Zagreb. But in those days, at that particular time, I felt very comfortable in Montenegro. There was really no action, fortunately.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, we went to a place called Budva. Budva is a very historical, medieval place. And I really can't express how gorgeous it is. I mean, if you go on Google and you look at Budva, you really don't get an impression of how beautiful this place is. But literally, it was midnight, we were walking the streets of Budva late at night together and chit-chatting, and never at any single moment did I have any fears for the physical safety of ourselves. Probably the 60 guys with Uzis was a reason for that.
What was your impression of Bobby? What did you sense with him? This is the first time you met him. What was you feeling about him?
Well, I was in awe, of course, and my own interactions with Bobby were just this, you know, the kind of hero worship, if I could put it bluntly. That later, you would, in the Filipino radio interviews, we would really get this horrible, horrible recoil. At that moment in time, we just stayed away, avoided the subjects that really, you know, set him off. Even though at the time I really didn't have an awareness of how deeply attached he was to certain things. We were talking just about Motown, Bruce Lee, movies, and you know, favorite comedians and comics. And one of the things that really came out, I was with my wife, Yvette, by the way. One of the things that really came out was he had a great sense of humor. He was like a really funny guy, like a lot of funny shit happened when he was around. I mean, just really crazy, funny stuff. And the other thing was, you know, you really got this sense that from reading that Bobby would do a lot of socially backwards things, or was ill-mannered, or maybe he wasn't really even sensitive to others. But at the time, what really impressed me tremendously, there was Eugene Torre, the Grandmaster Eugene Torre from the Philippines, legendary chess grandmaster, and his wife Marlene. So I had my wife Yvette with me. So there's Marlene and Yvette, and Bobby is treating the women very well. He's deferential. Lady, we're going to go to this restaurant. Is that okay with you? And I'd always read this stuff about Bobby that it was like he didn't care for anybody else. But it really struck me that he was sensitive to them. So he made a really great impression. I left the match and I said, Bobby, you got to do me a favor. He says, what's that? I said, when you play chess, you make people happy. You got to play more. And he said, yeah, I'm going to play this kid Vishy Anand, and I'm going to play Judith Polgo. And that guy over there, he's setting up all these matches. And there was a lot of talk about he was going to play Judith. He
Yeah,
was
I
going to
would
play
like to
Vishy.
play with the Bush.
Yeah, all kinds of things. So I said, do it, make it happen because it would really be a lot of fun. And it was great meeting you and blah, blah, blah. And that was the last public game he played, was in 1992. He never played again. So, I mean, really when I left that match in 92, I was like, come on, keep going, keep playing.
Mm-hmm.
Later, it would transpire that that the U.S. government didn't like him playing the match, that they would rescind his passport, and according to Bobby, we're, dogging his every
Yeah,
step
that
with
was
the
sad
IRS.
that element came in
That came in later
to
too.
create a wedge
Yeah.
and to push them out over a bit to the sad situation came up after that. But
Everybody, would you please join with me and thank you for spending an evening with Grandmaster Walter Browne.
and also for being there because it wouldn't have been as interesting, I'm sure, without him.
Well, thank you, Walter. Thank you. Thank you very much.